It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege of interviewing the Bishop University's head women's rugby coach, Coach Tom Whyld. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Brian. Thanks very much for having me on today. Pleasure to be on and excited to chat to you.
Thank you. Can you talk about how you knew that you want to get started in coaching in college women's rugby?
Yeah, well, there wasn't anything like particular in terms of whether it was going to be women's or men's or anything like that. I ended up in Canada after a little bit of time traveling around and playing rugby and coaching in different areas, and the opportunity presented itself at Bishop's, and I just wanted to continue my journey. I was close to finishing playing, so I wanted to carry on and transition into the coaching side of things more and more. And it was kind of my aim with my life and my career path, and that's kind of how I ended up here. Plus, after I saw Bishops, the facilities, the level that they play at, and the league they play in, it was something that I wanted to be a part of.
What was that playing experience like for you playing rugby?
Yeah, so like I said, I traveled around a little bit, but I'm originally from Portsmouth in the UK, so down south in the middle. Played for a few different clubs. My first club I ever played for was Gospel and Fareham. But I've played county, which is kind of like state or provincial level rugby too, which is great. It was an honour to sort of get picked from what is a really large player pool in the UK to represent your county. Um, for me, every sort of opportunity I've had, I've tried to jump at it and improve myself, not as a rugby player, but as a person. And um, like I've had a few really fun experiences, not just only playing in the UK, some others outside of there as well in a few different countries. But we've gone on a few tours with a few teams as well to a few different countries, which was always fun. And come up against some familiar names in the rugby world randomly in some different spots, which is always nice to name drop a few of them here and there in some conversations. But yeah, no. I feel really privileged because I obviously being from England, from the UK, rugby's a pretty major sport there, and so I was able to play from a very young age. Whereas I feel, being in North America now, it's not the same case for a lot of the kids and stuff here. They pick it up a lot later, so it's for me, I've had a really good experience and really good time playing all over the world.
How was that experience like traveling to different countries like Germany?
Sorry, Brandon. Sorry, go for it.
How was that experience like traveling to different countries like Germany?
Yeah, so traveling around and playing was kind of not my original goal in sort of what I wanted to do with things. I I finished university and kind of didn't want to jump straight into the workforce with my degree and my job, which ironically is involved with sports. But it meant I wouldn't be able to play, so I wanted to travel around. I actually had a couple of friends that had gone to another country and played rugby for another team, and I asked them how their experience was, etc., etc., and they basically just highly recommended it. And I reached out to the first club that I went to was Burnside in Adelaide in Australia, and reached out to them, said, "Hey, I'm interested in traveling. I want to play rugby. I'd love to come and play for you guys and live and work in that area for a bit." And Yeah, so that was my first experience. It was unbelievable. It was great. I mean, going to a place like Australia is it's a different world, firstly, but it's a fun experience just without the rugby side. But then you tag in something that um, you love doing, and you get a support network of about 50 to 100 people straight away, as a rugby club is. And your experience doubles in terms of what you are able to do, and how much fun you have. And for me, then after that experience, I just decided to carry on doing it, and thought I'll do it until I can't play, or my legs don't want to run too much anymore. So I traveled around in a few different places, New Zealand, Germany, played a little bit back in the UK, Spain, and eventually ended up in Canada, and stayed here after playing a couple of seasons, and obviously with Bishops.
What was that experience like getting started into coaching after your playing career?
Yeah, well, I've always been doing coaching in different ways. So I probably had an easier transition than most people, I would say, because I know I have friends that, are near the end of their playing career, and they're starting their coaching journey like right now, in their 30s. So it's a little different. But for me, I was really fortunate. My dad was a soccer coach, so he like always there was always a lot of at home coaching, that kind of thing. Um, but I was always pushed to get involved and do stuff with our local soccer juniors, like our under 6 team and our under 8 team, when I was only like 14 or 15 or 16. So I had a really good experience there, and kind of learned the very basics of what coaching is, and how to communicate, trying to handle and deal with and keep the attention of 6 to 8 year olds is always difficult, but how do you do that? And then for me, I got a couple of opportunities to do that with rugby, a few years later, at my school, and loved it, because even though I really enjoy soccer, and played it growing up, and quite a lot, and everything, rugby was kind of always my sport. So I got to actually coach the sport that I was most interested in. And like from there, my love of coaching went alongside my love of playing, and kind of everywhere I went, I tried to help coach the junior teams, or find work that was developing rugby in the local area, or just reach out and see if the provincial teams needed coaching staff and things like that. And kind of everywhere I've been, I've been doing that. And then towards the end of my career, when I would say my knowledge was increasing faster than my athletic ability, I uh, I started transitioning into player coach, helping teams kind of structure and run training sessions, different things like that. And then ultimately, when I kind of hung the boots up properly, I got into the coaching side. But I already had a really very slow but well structured pathway in. So yeah.
What was that experience like coming to Bishop University and becoming their head women's rugby coach?
Yeah, well, it was very weird actually, because before Bishops, I actually hadn't coached a women's team. I'd done sessions, and and helped and trained female athletes in different ways or whatever, but I hadn't been the head coach of a team. So it was definitely an interesting start, and the girls in my first few years were really helpful in kind of giving me like some hints and things to stuff that would help out a lot more with them, rather than how maybe we would do it with guys, and just in different terms of feedback, and always doing a demo for that kind of thing, for sure. But it was brilliant. Like I said before, I kind of fell in love with the place when I turned up and visited the first time. Like it's a really really beautiful campus. It's for those that might not know what it is. It's basically like a D3 small liberal arts school that would be in the States. That's kind of what it looks like. It's a small campus, kind of in the just on the edge of Sherbrooke, in Lennoxville, in a small little town. And so it's easy to fall in love with it when you turn up. But it also has like crazy good facilities. So for me, I was like drawn into that straight away, and the chance to coach at what is one of the highest levels in Canada, U Sports, which is like the NCAA version in Canada. Women's rugby is uh, one of, if not the top leagues for women's sports in terms of women's rugby in Canada, but also at the time in the world too. Like the best teams in our league could take on most people around the world in lots of different environments, and you can see too with the women's national team. A lot of those girls come through the university pathway. So it's a high level competition with good facilities. It's not professional, but it's professional-ish in terms of how they operate. And there's good people involved. The current head coach for Canada is former what's the word? A former colleague, I guess. He coached at a university in Quebec City, so I know him relatively well.
What was that feeling like for you for the first time as a head coach stepping onto that rugby field?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was very similar to being a player, I felt a little bit more helpless for sure. But it reminded me a lot of maybe some of the bigger games that I played in my rugby career, where the nerves build up beforehand, and the apprehension and the excitement before the game. Like I say, like it's a high level here in Canada, and our communications and sort of facilities department do a really good job of putting on like a pretty good spectacle for games and things like that. So I was really excited, um, really happy that our first home game was good. Our first game actually was away in Ottawa, and we almost got the win in my very first game, which was like still think about it these days now, but no, it was just a sense of like wow, like I'm in the place that I really want to be.
Who are some of the teams in your conference that you compete against?
Yeah, so Bishops plays in the RSEQ, which is sort of the Quebec leagues for schools. So in our conference, we have some schools you may have heard of before, such as the University of Montreal, Concordia University, McGill University, Laval University from Quebec City, Ottawa University, and Carleton University. Both of them are based in Ottawa, so actually just out of Quebec. And we also have our local rivals who have just actually returned to the league this year after a couple of years out, the University of Sherbrooke. So they're about 10 minutes down the road from us, so we have a good rivalry back in the league now with them. But like I said before, it's a really strong league, really strong division in terms of women's rugby. The national champs, not this year, but the last sort of 3 or 4 years have always come from our conference. And it's always a challenge for us for sure. We're a small school playing against very big schools. In Canada, there's no D1, D2, D3. It's everybody's D1, and you play against big schools. So, for example, Sherbrooke, who's our local rivals, is a pretty big school. They're in the tens of thousands of students, and we're pushing almost 3,000. So we're the underdog fighting against the others, really.
What is that home game atmosphere like when teams come to your home facility?
Yeah, no, like I say, the guys do a great job in terms of setting up and creating a really good atmosphere. I would say, in particular, homecoming is pretty well known actually in Quebec. That Bishop's homecoming is loud, it's rowdy, and it's a fun game to play in. A lot of the other schools really enjoy coming down and playing the homecoming game with us. But we have great fans, locals that come and watch, but also we have a really good community vibe within the school. They all They all come and watch our games. Our men's team watch our women's team. Our women's team watch our men's team. But also the other teams as well will come and cheer us on. And yeah, it's a really good atmosphere and like something that I'm proud to say. That with women's sports and pushing women's sports for sure. It's something that I think the girls really enjoy, and it helps bring more and more out of them in terms of athletes.
Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you started to build for the women's rugby program?
Yeah, sure. So when I came in 2017 was my first year with the program. Um, the sort of history, but before that they were not a very strong team. Struggled in the league quite a lot, and there was a few issues here and there that just needed to be fixed, really. And we sat down, got a good core group of girls to buy in to you know, taking the rugby a bit more seriously, taking the training outside of rugby a bit more seriously in the gym and sitting down and doing video, etc., that kind of stuff. And we wanted to build the team on similar values to the school. So small school, we push a family vibe, a close personal interaction kind of vibe, and a caring vibe at the school. So we wanted to replicate that with the rugby program, and we've seen year upon year that the girls push that, but also the new girls that come in, adopt it on and continue it with the legacy that they'll leave at the end when they graduate. So we've done that quite effectively, and now we're looking at our team is pretty competitive against nearly everybody in the league. We have a really good vibe in the changing room with the girls, and it's not rocket science in terms of good team culture. We want to make sure that it's a positive place to be around. We want to be honest and open with everybody. And we want to make sure that we are proud of the work that we're doing, and working to improve kind of every day, little bit by little bit.
What does that recruitment process look like for those prospective student athletes looking to play rugby?
Yeah, so the recruitment process, we'll get out on the road and watch games here and there, but obviously we're quite limited in terms of geography, kind of where we can get to. We catch quite a lot of Quebec games, but I'm not going to BC, or I probably can't make it down south to Florida too often to watch games and things like that. But the big thing is the first part is to either get seen or reach out. So if Bishops is a school that you're interested in, or any school really that you're interested in, is rugby doesn't have an amazing recruitment network, the same as other sports like football. You can go on a database and kind of see everybody and anybody, but rugby doesn't have those kind of resources. So reach out if you can get seen. That's great. Get in contact with the coaches that you want to get in contact with, and they'll be the start of the process of open that door and start the communication. After that, there's going to be an exchange. If you have video, if you have a rugby CV of sorts, coaches, references, those kind of things. These are all really, really helpful stuff for us, and we'll kind of, check all that stuff out and look through it. And then after that, we'll schedule in a visit, to come visit the campus. So we also run a showcase as well, where we kind of try and get all of the recruits to come at the same time, so we can even run a little bit of a training session with them, and get them to see them how they interact with each other, as well as how do they fare against each other a little bit, and then afterwards we'll make a selection on our roster for the fall, and we're quite fortunate in one case that because we're a small school, we don't have a huge number of applicants compared to some of the bigger schools. So we'll get most of the people interested in rugby will probably be able to find a roster spot, but yeah, it's still a competitive selection process as well.
As a head coach, what is it like seeing those freshmen put on that rugby uniform for the first time?
Yeah, so it's definitely like a mix of a bunch of emotions, really. But we also approach it a little bit differently, maybe than some other places. I've played in a few different teams, a few different things. Sometimes they want you to earn your stripes a little bit longer. Might have to redshirt or sit for a year. We have a sort of different approach of Bishops of if you're ready and we feel that you're at the level, we want to get you a taste of what is varsity rugby at Bishops sooner rather than later, so you can get an idea of what the physicality of the game is, what the speed of the game is, and what you need to be able to do to be good at our level. So we often see quite a lot of first years get on the field, whether it's one game for like 10 minutes, 15 minutes or something, or if they come in and they're a superstar straight away, then we can find a lot more time on the field for them. But when they get out there for their first run out, I kind of get the same nerves like I was saying for my first game with the team. I'm excited for them. I remember the first time I ran out for kind of every team I've ever played for, it was always like a mix of nerves and excitement and fear, but like you just want to go and play and do stuff. So I feel all that stuff with them at the same time, but the overall overriding kind of emotion for everything is really just happiness. I'm just very happy to see them, getting on the field and doing what they love, and being able to show off their skills on the field.
What is that like getting to see those seniors putting on that uniform for the last time?
Yeah, so kind of a flip to the freshmen getting on there. So when the seniors are in their last game on seniors night, or whether it be an away game or something on the last day of the season, it's definitely always an emotional day because the journey that we've been on together. As I said before, in terms of building the team and building the culture, a lot of the girls have put a lot of work into developing and pushing the team forward. So for me, it's always great to see them get to that stage, but sad at the same time because this is probably the last time they're going to do it. And especially with women's too, a lot fewer girls will carry on playing after they finish university. So some of them, it might be their last game of rugby, full stop. And so it's there's definitely the proud sense of I'm so glad to where they've got to, and the level that they're at, and the work they've put in. That's definitely a huge emotion that goes in, and like it's just just sat back and I'm just happy to watch them go. The generally with the seniors, I give them a quiet word and just say like, go out and just it is your last game, so play like it, and enjoy it, and don't worry about getting anything wrong. Just go and have a blast in your last one. So that, and I just sit back and let them go, and definitely try not to sub them off so they can have the most time on the field as possible. So.
What are some of your future plans for the Bishop program moving forward?
Yeah, so as I said, we're a building program, and we've been building since 2017. Sounds like a long time ago, really now, but every year we get a little bit better here and there. The long-term goals for the team is to get into the playoffs. In terms of the rugby side of stuff, is get into the playoffs. We want to challenge, and win our division. We want to challenge and win stuff, hopefully at the national level as well. Really what we're trying to build is almost like a destination rugby school. So people know about us and want to come to Bishops to play rugby and study and know about us and know kind of who we are. So that's the goal, is to try and build that kind of institution in terms of our rugby program. And we've taken some good steps towards that, and we're on the way. And I think it's not going to be built in a couple of years. It's one of these long-term projects, but we're definitely on the way there for sure. And then linking with everything that we're doing kind of off the field too, in terms of keep developing our culture, adapting to the modern world and different things like that too. But another area too is our community stuff as well. We put a lot of work in local rugby development and local events and things like that. And that's another area that we keep building and try and push forward to the future.
What advice would you give those freshmen entering their first year of college rugby?
Yeah, so first year getting into uni, it's not easy transition going from high school to university. There's a lot more independence and individual things that you need to do, such as studying and things like that. That maybe isn't the same as high school. So the biggest thing is understand that you're going to go into a very busy environment compared to high school sports. Even if you played a lot of high school sports, it's a higher level and it's the hits are harder and the recovery is an important fast aspect. So you can't just do it and then carry on. Like you need to get into the gym, you need to do all the extra things that you kind of know that goes along with higher level sports. For sure. But I would say, the best you can prepare for that on a rugby sense is, make sure your fundamental skills are good, make sure your conditioning is good, and make sure your rugby IQ is good. So watch rugby, play as much rugby as you can. That's going to help you a lot in your first year. And if you don't get in straight away, it's not one of those things where you'll be you'll be straight in and play first game all the time. It's one of those ones where you'll be coming in, learning, getting up to speed, and hopefully the quicker you can do that, the quicker you can get involved in the varsity side of things. So that for sure, and understand that it takes a toll in that first semester in terms of academics as well. So we're very accommodating here to making sure the girls are in a good spot when it comes to academics as well. So, we want to check in all the time and make sure everything's good on that side. So, it's not all I'm at university. I'm just doing rugby. That's it. It's student athlete, and what's the classic phrase is student first. So that.
What advice would you give those head coaches looking to get started in this industry?
Yeah, so it's definitely obviously there's a limited number of spots. There's not an unlimited number of universities, but there is a lot out there. And what I would say, because we try our best here at Bishops internally to promote and push through coaches, young coaches to be get to that next level or get to somewhere that they want to get to in terms of coaching. And like it's similar to those first years, if you can keep working on your knowledge of the game, keep staying engaged and coach at club, coach, find rep teams, find different things to go and do to sharpen your coaching skills. That's definitely really, really important. And the more experience you get, the more comfortable you get in front of a group of athletes talking about rugby, and maybe the finer things too, is good. I would say don't worry about in rugby at the moment. Everyone wants to have a very specific thing that they do. And I would say in North America, that's not necessarily something that you need to be worried about. Worry about the kind of whole game. And, if you were a front rower that knows about scrummaging, great, have that in your profile, but don't make it your only part of your profile as a coach, and reach out. Like I can almost guarantee that nearly every coaching staff is understaffed somewhere in some way, shape, or form. So reach out. You might not necessarily get a paid gig, but for us, for example, like I'm happy to take on volunteers to come in here and there, and that you never know what happens with those kind of opportunities. So always reach out, always feel free to talk to people, and I almost guarantee nearly every coach will have a little bit of time for you to help you go down the journey that they're probably just a few steps further ahead.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you on social media along with the program?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't hear that one, Brandon.
Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with the program?
Yeah, so you can follow Bishop's Gators, gators.ca is GAITERS. .ca is our athletics website. You can kind of check us in on there and see how we're getting on. We're on Instagram, lots of updates on Instagram all the time. So at Gators WRG is the women's rugby, and MRG is the men's rugby, but that's where we'll get all our updates and everything going through there.
Thank you again, Coach Tom, for your interview and best luck in your future at Bishop University.
No worries. Thanks a lot, Brandon.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brand, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Tom, for your interview and best luck in your future.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.